If sewing your signatures into a journal makes you nervous, if you've stared down at a needle and an awl and some thread and thought, I don't trust myself to do this neatly, then this series is for you. The usual method for binding a journal is to poke holes down the spine and sew each one by feel, hoping that you get the needle through the hole and into the right hole, hoping that your stitches line up beautifully. Today I'm showing you a different way. Instead of poking holes, we cut slots, and the slots do the guiding for you. Your needle has an obvious path to follow, so there's a lot less room to go crooked or miss your mark. And we're also changing how the cover works. I'm going to show you a new way to reinforce paper if you want to use some kind of thinner paper so it will hold up even sewn this way. Hi everybody, I'm Cindy the Scrapologist, and here on this channel I teach slow handmade paper crafting, junk journals, handmade books, and vintage inspired projects using what you already have. If you're new here, welcome. This is going to be a two-part series, and it's built for anyone who's wanted a handmade sewn journal but just felt like sewing was the part that they hated and was standing in your way. Today we're making the slotted reinforced cover. In part one, we'll do the cover and prepare the signatures and the sewing holes. And in part two, we will sew the signatures into the cover. And I think you'll be surprised how straightforward it feels. Let's get started. So to make this book, you will not need any special supplies, just what you already have on hand for bookbinding. You'll need something for your cover, something for your signatures, and a needle and thread. And the name of this particular cover, it's called a long stitch going through a slotted cover. Long stitch through slotted wrapper cover. But let's just call it a slotted reinforced cover. Easier to remember that way. What you'll need for your cover is a piece of paper that is 24.5 inches long by 8.5 inches high for the book we're going to make today. And that will enable us to use for our signatures just regular 8.5 by 11 papers folded in half. So it's going to be a book this size with a 1/2 inch spine. Now you might say, well, you don't have any paper that's 24 inches long, but maybe you do. I have some really nice rolls of handmade paper in my closet that I could use, but do you have wrapping paper on hand? I have some craft paper, some craft wrapping paper, and I like it because it has the grids on the inside. Don't get anything too thin, but wrapping paper will work because this is a reinforced cover. We're going to be making this stronger. For me, of course, I'm using wallpaper, and if you're new here, I'll just tell you quickly why I always use wallpaper. First of all, it's gorgeous. I love working with it. It's more durable than regular scrapbook paper, but also I came across a wallpaper store in a neighboring community, and they were going out of business and hiring a dumpster to take everything out of the store and throw it in the dumpster. So my husband and I rented a U-Haul and I bought out the wallpaper store. I don't regret it at all. I don't know if my husband does, but I don't. So I do have lots of wallpaper in my shop, and if you're looking for a larger piece to make this project, just contact me over my website and let me know. So this piece of paper, again, is 24.5 inches long by 8.5 inches tall. This is going to be 8.5 inches, let me turn it back this way, is going to be the height of our book. And what we're going to be doing is folding this wallpaper, doubling the cover to reinforce it. And it's very simple to do. I do score mine. I just prefer to do that. It's easier to fold, but if you don't have a scoreboard, then that's okay. Just take a ruler and mark a line, and you will be able to do this just fine. So we have a number of scores or lines that we want to make. And again, if you don't have a scoreboard, just put it on your cutting mat, find your mark, and draw on your paper with a pencil, and you'll do fine. I don't have a lot of gadgets in my bookbindery here, but I do believe that a scoreboard is just one of those essentials. I couldn't live without mine. Okay, so we have a half-inch spine. So the first mark we're going to make is at 1/2 inch. Okay, and then I fold that up as neatly as I can so that I can make my second score mark. If you are using a ruler, then what we're going to do is we're going to go over 5 3/4 of an inch from this line. So just measure from this line, which is basically what I'm doing by folding that up and then moving my paper over this way. Okay, so our next mark is 5 3/4. Why? Because that right there is the size of our cover. Our cover is 5 3/4. Then because we're folding this in half, we need to make another 5 3/4 one. So it's going to be kind of like this. So again, if you're using your pencil, 5 3/4 over from this line, we're just going to keep moving to the right. But I am going to fold mine. Move that over into the corner there and go another 5 3/4. So let me show you what we have here so far. Because our spine is 1/2 inch, this here is 1/2 inch, and this is the spine. This is 5 3/4 inches, and this is the front cover. This is 5 3/4 inches, and this is also the front cover because it's getting folded. Let's flip it around, this end that we haven't done anything with yet, and do the same exact thing. So we're going to do a 1/2 inch. And then we are going to go over 5 3/4. And we are going to go over 5 3/4 again. Okay, so now what we have on this side, the same exact thing, 1/2 inch spine, 5 3/4 inch back cover, 5 3/4 inches back cover, and this in the middle here, I hope you can see it. Let me just draw it for you, and that might be a little easier. Okay, so this is our 1/2 inch spine. Well, this is now upside down, but you get the, you're smart enough to figure that out. Now let's just train the folds. We're going to fold the whole thing up and give it a little burnish. Just make sure that you line it up on the top and bottom too. And then I'm going to turn it around. That's just the way I like to do it. Oops. There, so everything's folded. Everything gets folded in towards the center. Okay, so now that we have all of this folded, these are going to straighten back out. Okay, those are not going to be folded in. I just folded them in to crease them a little bit. Actually, should have folded them backwards like this, just to train it which way to go. But what we're doing now is, our goal is to reinforce this spine. So if we fold this over, and this is on the spine, so the 1/2 inch piece is on the spine, and this 1/2 inch piece is on the spine, like this. And there's my 1/8 of an inch discrepancy showing up there, but that's how we fix it. No problemo. So now we have 1, 2, 3 pieces on our spine, so that when we wrap the thread around, it's not going to tear your cover and it will hold up. Or if you're using any other kind of bookbinding technique and you want to reinforce your spine and you're using something kind of more flimsy, this is perfect for that. Now let's just glue it down. Normally I would use my PVA glue and a paintbrush and just paint this whole thing and fold it over, because that's much more durable. I never use glue stick for something I want to be permanent. It dries out, it's flaky, and things don't stick together. But just to make this quick, I'm going to use my glue stick. So we're just going to, I usually do one side at a time. So here I'm doing the front cover on over onto the spine. I'm also going to be sewing this, so that's going to hold it together as well. I'm going to run it through my sewing machine. Okay, then we've already trained it, so it should be able to just flop over and be right in line. Give it a good burnish. And let's do this side. And at this point, just look to see if anything is off, and it's an easy matter to just put something like that through your paper trimmer, which I will do right here. And then I'm going to reinforce the folds in my spine again and burnish them down one more time. And if you're using regular glue, obviously you're going to have to wait a little bit for it to dry. And there we are, just out of one piece of this beautiful wallpaper. we now have a reinforced spine that's 3-ply thick. And I am going to wait for this to dry just a little bit and then take it through to my sewing machine, because I don't like wet glue in my sewing machine. It's not good for it. And I'll be right back. And through the magic of TV, voila! I sewed that in a pretty pink. Sewed the cover. And how long did that take us to make this cover? 10 minutes, if that. You can use any sewing method for a cover like this, but if you would like to learn this new way of sewing in your signatures, it's called a slotted spine cover, where you cut slots instead of making those pesky holes that you have to try to find when you're getting through your signatures. If you want to find out how to do this technique, check out part 2 coming up next. Thanks.